Welcome in. It's our first reaction show for HOD, as I call it. Other people want to call it HOTD, whatever it is. It's a Game of Thrones show, House of the Dragon. New. It's about, of course, one of our favorite houses ever in the original Game of Thrones, the one that came out on HBO that was on for so many seasons, the Targaryens.
Yes.
When they came to power, and this was 200 years before the Game of Thrones that originally came on.
Yes.
On HBO. Of the families that we know and love, the Starks, the Lannisters, the Greys, all these colors and people here. There's, of course, we have Hightowers, we have Targaryens, we have Valerians, and we have just all types of different characters, man. I supposedly it drew a record of like 10 billion people or something to the premiere. Highly watched.
Actually more than that, because as the week went on, I think it was 10 million in the first 24 hours, but the first episode, as the week went on, they said 20 million viewers, shattered HBO records. They've already greenlit season 2. So
red lit. Green lit is a Hulk thing. Remember, we just did that. Red lit.
Yes. So we're already getting House of the Dragon season 2. Everybody loves it except for my co-host here, apparently. So we'll get into that. Well, no, let's get right into it. So yeah, like you said, Hurt, this is pretty cool, man. This is about 200 years before before Daenerys. Well, I think 172 before Daenerys Targaryen was born. This is focused on the Targaryen house when they ruled, when they were in power, where dragons are freely flying around. What'd you think? What'd you think of this first episode? Did you think it was a good start to the prequels?
Well, I think it was a good start as a prequel to the show.
Okay.
My personal feelings aside, this did remind me of the previous shows that we watched on Game of Thrones. But it started off, the only thing I had issue with, it started off like really dark. Like, and I really was thinking of something wrong with my television. Because I'm like, why is it just dark? But that's just where they were and how they filmed it. Okay. But yeah, but as time went on in that episode, I found my personal feelings coming through about a lot of things and a lot of things that happened during the week. So I'm trying my best to get through this. I'm not saying it was bad, like it was a bad start. It was a good start. It's just I do feel something, and we'll discuss it. But give me your thoughts and how you felt about the first episode.
Okay, so I enjoyed the first episode, and I'm going to explain why. So when I watch Game of Thrones, the first Game of Thrones, right, the series, I could not get into it right away. I knew nothing about the series. I knew nothing about the books. I knew nothing about the characters. It took me about 2 or 3 times before I when I watched it, when it finally started clicking and I understood what was going on.
You mean like 2 or 3 seasons? Or
No. Like the first episode, like when I watched the first episode, I had no idea what the heck. It just wasn't clicking. I'm like, what is going on? Because like the first episode starts with them White Walkers, and you see the White Walker with the blue eyes and all this. I'm like, what is this?
And then and he plays such a pivotal part in the show.
Yeah. and I wasn't understanding what was going on. And then when I watched it again, I was like, oh, things it just started clicking. This was the same way. This was the same thing when I watched the Lord of the Rings. Like, I had to watch it a couple times before I started to understand. I just didn't understand the dynamics and who these people were and stuff. Anyway, I love the House of the Dragon because I watched this episode. They lay out for you, by the time this episode ends, you know where the story's going, you know what the story is, you know what's going on, you know what the dynamics are, and the whole thing is, okay, how is this going to play out? And that's what I'm looking forward to. It's like they lay down the season for you right here within this episode. And the only question is, okay, how is this going to play out? And I think, and I thought it was good. Like you said, you watch it, it reminds you of Game of Thrones. I thought the CGI was great. The dragons looked great. I love the one.
I don't think they never get the dragons wrong. The dragons always look good.
Yeah, but there's the one scene where it's like this overhead shot, and all you do is like a motion shot, and you just see clouds, and it's like right away you know, oh yeah, someone's flying on a dragon. That was just such a nice.
Oh yeah, it was just clouds, and then
yeah, and then you just see, I think it was Rhaenyra. I think she was on the dragon, and you just see it flying. It's like, oh man, this is cool. This is like the height of the Targaryens when dragons just flew around freely, and you know what I mean. It's just like, so no, it was just cool, man. Very violent, very violent first episode. Woo. They hit you with the violence right away. I mean, there were times where I was literally turning my head from the screen. Yeah, I me personally, I don't do good with blood on screen, even though I know it's fake. So there was a lot of times where I had to turn my head. But I love the CGI. I love, like I said, the violence was a little much for me. One thing, I love the intricacies, the details, like in the jousting scene. And when we see Daemon jousting and he had like his helmet and it had like the dragon wings on the side, like it was cool as I don't know what.
Oh yeah, they're good with it. I think Game of Thrones has always been good with details and clothing and little things like that. So.
Yes. Yeah. So I thought it was good. Look, honestly, I don't think it was mind blowing. Like, I don't think it was like something that like blew my mind or anything like that. But as a good first episode, I thought it was fine, and it brought me right back into Westeros and the King's Landing, and it just brought me back into that world, man. And I'm ready to take that ride, man. So what were the problems you had with the show?
I think I was honestly after it ended. At that point I felt like I signed off. I was GOT'd out. I was done. Like I was just like, all right, if anything of this ever comes back on again, I was okay. Like when it first started, I was I'm team. I like wolves, so I had to be Team Stark.
Right.
But also I was born a year to dragon, and we both were.
Right.
So I also like dragons. So later on, I was like, okay, this Targaryen thing is pretty cool. House of Dragons. Who doesn't love dragons? So I fell in love with the dragons, but I also liked the wolves, dire wolves. The wolves, wolves are great too. So then we kind of had a combining of them with Jon Snow. Targaryen, he could talk to, he had a wolf, but he could talk to dragons and be close with dragons. Well, it's like the best of both worlds. So after it all ended, and they were talking about this one's coming out, zero interest in watching this. Zero. So while watching the episode, I noticed that I'm past some things. I'm past the gratuitous violence. Like there was a point where I was okay with it. I could watch it, but between the snake in the mountain, between the red weddings, between the Battle of the Bastards, between so many other things, I'm maxed out already for all this stuff that happened in this episode. You know what I mean? And like you said, there's a lot of things that happened, including, the king trying to get the baby out. That whole thing was just.
Yeah, that was.
And I feel, and I know that's how the show is, but I don't think I'm there for that now. I'm more I'd rather have the storytelling.
Yeah, I think that scene was hard, but I think they were showing a contrast. They were showing because they had the joust and then they had that scene, and I think she was making a point earlier to her to Rhaenyra, like this is our battlefield. You know what I'm saying? So I think they were just trying to show the contrast between the men, and the women, and that's why they kind of made it look that way. Because it was rough. It was rough.
I'm not saying they can make it look however way they want it to look. I mean, I'm not.
I'm with you. I'm kind of over like the gratuitous nature of some of the aspects of the show when it comes to violence and some of the other stuff. I'm over that. I'm all about story, man. And
story. Give me story.
And I think this is an intriguing story. I mean, basically,
I'm not saying you take the violence out. I'm not saying that. But I don't need to see every eye smashed, every private area cut off.
Yeah.
I don't need. I'm just so maybe because I don't know because I've grown up. I don't know what it is. I'm past that.
Dude, I completely with you. I don't need all that. Like, I get it. Like that's kind of like a staple of the show, but I'm hoping as it goes on, we get less and less of that stuff.
Yeah, because the intrigue, there's enough with just the characters we have between the Hightowers, between my Jamaican brother who's in there, which a lot of people seem to have an issue with, to Damon, the king's brother, to the king himself. There's naming his daughter. There's so much intrigue. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying I love that. I love how the show ended, how he names his daughter. It's a success.
Yeah, like there's so much intrigue and so much story there that this is a Dallas or Knots Landing or, of those, this can't, because that's how Game of Thrones got me, because of the story.
Exactly.
It wasn't, the fighting was cool, but like I said, but at certain points, and it was like maybe a couple of times during that season where you're like, okay, that's enough. But they never really started it out that way. So starting it out with this one kind of just like, I can't do this if it's like, I can't do this for this long. I need more little fingers. You know what I mean? I need more, where's my boy? Oh God, what's his name? Lannister.
Tyrion.
Tyrion, yes. I need more Tyrions. I need more people like that.
Yeah.
And I think we have that in there, because Otto Hightower is already starting out some stuff. Damon's already starting out some stuff. People aren't happy that he named the daughter the heir. People, and his wife's gone.
Right.
So now people are trying to send him, hey, what about this? That's how Otto ended it. It's like, and we're something a little nice. Where your mom's little thinking to go see the king. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just see if we could try to finagle this a certain way.
But I love how we get these scenes with the council. You know what I mean? So we see how things go down. I love how we get to see Damon. We get to see where his character is going and what his motivations are going to be. I just love all that, man. And with Rhaenyra, you know what I'm saying? She's being thrusted. She's living a life where she's thinking, man, if I could only be, if I only were his son, you know what I mean? Right. I would have his respect. She's gained her father's respect and her father's trust, and now she's being put in this position, which is totally untraditional for this world, and it goes against their traditions and their beliefs. So we're just going to see what effect this is going to have and how all this plays out. Now, here's what I want to see, right? I know the show was called House of the Dragon. I want to see more. I want to see some other houses. Like, are we going to see some deals? We're going to
see. Oh yeah, we got to, because like Game of Thrones. Like I said, look at all the families I named off the top of my head. Like I said, there's so many. Starks, Lannisters. The Greys, the Baratheons. We knew so many families from there, and this is the same thing. We started, like I said, we already got Hightowers, we got Targaryens, we got Corlys and his family. There's people already, and that's what intrigues me, are those things.
Yeah.
And I think we're always going to work into that, because that's what Game of Thrones is about. It's about power, families, the struggle, the little things in between.
Yep.
So it's definitely going to be about that. So I just the whole, I can't do the violence anymore. I just, I don't mind, like, when Lord of the Rings comes out in 2 weeks, I'm going to probably, I'm going to be a whole different world. And that comes out next week, and you're going to see a whole different me when we come to that show. Right. Again, that has the violence. It almost has the same story, back in the fantasy days, things like that. they added a little bit more color to their show too. So I can't wait for that when that comes out next week. I'm watching it as soon as it comes out. But
we'll be doing a reaction show for that series as well.
But for this one, if they stick with all the like Damon and his brother's going to be good. Otto, his hand, Hightower, trying to get to see if his little manipulations getting the daughter in there. Hearing that Hightower was richer than the Lannisters, and just learning and reading things here and there. I am intrigued enough about the families, and of course, who doesn't want to see dragons? Right. It was just a lot that first episode for me.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes, man. All right, so let me get your grade. I got to get your grade from you.
Six dragons.
6 dragons. Okay, 6 dragons. All right, me. 8 is a good number. Like I said, I thought it was a good episode. It didn't knock my socks off, but I thought it was a really, really good start. So I'm going to stick with an 8. I really enjoyed it. 8 dragons, man.
I didn't want. Yeah, it was a good 8. But this episode I almost called the dragon down to breathe fire on this episode. That's how.
We even got a Dracarys in this.
Yeah.
Episode.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Bert.
Yeah. Well, what was it for?
Well,
exactly. So that's. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're breathing fire on this episode, but we'll definitely be back with the episode 2 reaction of House of the Dragon. Thank you for tuning in. StreamYard, YouTube, Facebook, IG, Twitter. There'll be reactions on all of those pages, as well as find us on Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you find podcasts. You'll find the N1MD podcast with our She-Hulk reactions and, of course, our regular sports show. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one, y'all. Peace out.
Cars. Dragons rule.